All right, let's talk about the user choice tools and what they do and why they're going to make your life so much better. So store tab, going to clubs, we can either click on clubs or I can click on club list. Either way, it's going to take me to the club section. Now keep in mind that with the user choice, it is a tool within the club. You don't have to make a whole new club just to make user choice. So it's literally a yes or no, and then the tool will pop up. So if I have no and I hit save, you're going to see I don't have anything under description. It just goes right down to the URL. But if I turn the user choice on, what's also great with the new user choice is that I can now attach a club discount from promos. Please do not make a new promo that says processing only and then put that in here. Just use the regular one unless, the only time is unless your club processing discount is different than your normal club discount. Okay, so just use your normal club discount. Go ahead and hit save. Talk about all this in a minute. And now the user choice section is open. So we're going to add a season. Every time you run a batch or are going to run a shipment, every time you're going to send out wine as a club shipment, you are going to start a season or add a season. So let's go through this. So let's put in the time. So we can say a month and part of the year so we know which one we're looking for. We can do spring or fall or summer or quarter or whatever it is that works best for you. Just do yourself a favor and don't put in the name of the club. It's a 3 bottle, it's a 12 bottle, it's a industry, whatever. That's redundant because we're already within the club. The season is going to be a subset of that. And when we get to the batch, I'm going to show you that all you need to see is this. You don't need to see what club it's in because you're already going to pick that. So we'll see that in a little bit. So we have the season that we're going to name it. Then we need minimum bottles. So the minimum here is what you are telling the computer that, or the system, that you want to make sure that the customer has to take at least this many bottles. That's what this is going to do. The max would obviously do that, where it would not allow them to purchase any more than that. Most places, if you're not super tiny, don't put anything in the max. You don't need to. If they want to buy 5 cases, let them buy 5 cases. Don't put anything in the teaser. This is just going to slow you down. It's also going to push down the options when we log in. So is description. So with the description, I would highly recommend you don't have anything in here. You take this out and you put it in the teaser of the club and you leave this part blank. Why? Glad you asked. Because when I go in here and I want to edit my choices, this is the description. You can already see that the name of the club is pushing these options down. And then if I have a really big club description, that's going to put this down even farther and I'm not going to see it. What we want is we want click and action, click and action. So when the customer clicks club list and they get in here and they click edit club, you want them to see this section. You don't want this to be hidden because they're just going to see words and they go, well, where do I go now? You want to put that right in front of their face so that they can see and go, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. And then they start picking all their wines. Since we're here also, you can see that if I change the number, you're also going to see my subtotals and my savings are going to change in real time, which is great. So now they can see what their estimated total is, find out where they're comfortable. All right, going back. All right, so keep this as short as possible, preferably nothing in there. Don't put anything in there. Right, so now we've got the season done, we've got our minimums. Now we're going to make the season active. What does making the season active mean? What that means is once that's active, when we hit save, when we go to a contact, club member, and we go under club membership, and we go under their club, when we scroll down, we can now see all the options that we have in the season. Those will now be seen here. Additionally, making the season active, when we go into club processing, and I go ahead and I go to add a batch, it says add a club shipment, but we call this the batch. When I come up here, as I mentioned, it'll say club, and now I want to choose the season. See how the season comes up? You just need to name it that. You don't need to put the club name in there because that's already up here. Now by making it active, now the batch can access the season because I've made it active. It'll show up here. If I don't have anything active, there won't be anything here. Okay. All right, and we'll make it active. Now what's also amazing with the new tools is in the past we would used to have to type in the name of the SKU and then type in the retail price and the club price, and then people would put all these special characters and whatnot in there. It really kind of cluttered things up. This is so much easier and so much faster because now all I have to do is start typing in a SKU name or the year, and all the options of that pop up, and it just makes your life so much better. So I can look for cabs, I can look for Pinots, I can look for, do I have a Syrah? I don't, but I have a Shiraz. There we go. So now I can go ahead and put in all my core wines. Now, another thing that you can also do is you can add some additional wines for upsell, but keep it simple. You only want to add an additional 3 to 5 wines on top of your core shipping wines. And the reason for this is that you're going to get analysis paralysis if the customers see 30 wines that are in the list. They're not going to know what to pick. Now, we'll talk about the customization in just a few minutes, but at the onset, and to show them some default wines, keep that list kind of short and simple. Now we want to put in a default quantity. This you should definitely do. Always put in your default quantity. Now, why would I do that? And why is this so important? So if I have this default quantity here and I send out an email and I tell everybody, hey, it's time to customize your wines, and somebody comes in and they look at the order and they go, oh, that looks pretty good, or they don't even look at it at all, when I go into club processing, because there's a default quantity, this is an order. This is just the default order, and therefore I get to charge them. Some people in the past have said, well, no, I'm just going to leave it as 0 because I just want them to choose everything they want. Well, you could do that, but if you do that, then what's going to happen is you're not going to have a bunch of default orders to charge, and the only people you will charge are the ones that made any changes. So now you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So make sure that you put a default quantity in there and then let them make any changes from there. Now, the minimum quantity means that I am going to force you, or you have to take X amount of bottles. So in this case, the default quantity is 1, and you have to take 1. Some people get a little scared that people are just going to choose the least expensive wines. And that happens from time to time, but there's also a lot of people that upsell themselves and also buy more wines. I've never seen in over a decade any rampant, low, subpar, average ticket price happen because everybody's just buying, X amount of rosé or Sauv Blanc or anything like that. Some orders will come through every once in a while, but it is never a majority. It's always a very, very low amount. So it's nothing that you should be concerned about. However, if you still want to test the waters with that, you could always have Let's say you had two or whatever, you could force them to take one of those bottles in that shipment. And then of course there's always the max quantity, which means you can't order any more than this. So basically what this is saying is my default quantity is 2, you have to take 1, and you can't get any more than 1. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I put 2 as a default quantity, so let's make that 2. So the default quantity is 2, you have to take at least 1, and you can't have any more than 2. There you go. So it also depends on what you want to do and what's working for you. The other thing is, in this system, if you don't need a number here, leave it blank, because 0 is an actual number. So if you left this 0, but you had a default quantity of 2, they would not get this because your max is 0. That makes sense? So keep in mind, if you want 0, just pick blank, because 0 is an actual number in the computing world. All right, so here we have our defaults. We could add in our additional upsell wines. And as a little tip, if you are worried about somebody, getting out of the order super cheap, then just make all your upsell wines the same price or more expensive than the core wines, and then you don't have to worry about it. Ta-da! Special tip of the day. Once we've made the season, and you're going to go ahead and make the batch as well, there's a whole video that I'm going to do on all the emails and which emails to do, where to do them from, how to send them out, etc. But in the time frame of the club, when you have it active, you've created this, you're going to create the batch and have that ready. And then you're about to send out the first email. And that email is going to tell all the people to go in and make their changes. Well, you're going to want to click Display on Web. And remember what that does is it allows them to see all of the options on the website. So if I have this off, then this just says Club Choices, and then it says Billing Information. You don't see any of this. So that's what this toggles, Display on Web. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to go to Clubs, go to the Red Wine Club, and this one is active. And Display on Web is here, so I'm going to take that off because right here, right? And now if I refresh, voila, they are gone, right? Club choices and billing information. This is gone. So the Display on Web is a toggle on whether or not the customers can see this on the web. You will always, as it's active, see this on the back end in their profile underneath Club Management and in the batch. But the Display on Web is literally displaying it here under the Edit Club. Now, this is actually very important. So when we turn Display on Web on, we click that, then we send off an email and we tell them, hey, it's time to go make your changes. And you'll see it's going to happen almost instantly. People are going to go in and make their changes, and you're going to get notifications that they're doing that, which is great. That's what we want. You're also going to notice that their credit cards are going to get updated and maybe some shipping information. But the other thing that we want to do here is customize orders. And there are 2 times that are very important, and it has to do with Display on Web. So the first time is somebody is going to ask you for a particular wine for you to add that to their order, because as it stands now, they can only choose the wines that you put into the season. They are not going to be able to choose, like go under wines and then go out there and choose wines and put it into their club order. They will have to reach out to you and say, hey, I want, some of the such and such Pinot. Great. What you will do is, one of 2 times, you are going to either with Display on Web on, so if somebody asks for something and you have plenty of it and you don't mind other people adding it to their order, then add a row, add the product, and leave it at 0, right? Leave the default quantity at 0. These are all add-ons. You don't need to make it a default. You leave that at 0. You just put the SKU in, and you hit save. Okay, so now you've added a SKU that if anybody else wants, and they can see it on the web, they can now add it to the cart, and you're fine with that because you have enough. However, if you have a request that is something that you don't have much of, it's a library wine, it's a Magnum, etc., any of those orders you want to put off to the side and keep a tally of, keep a running list of those. So when the day comes, generally 3 to 5 days before you process, you're going to want to uncheck display on web, which is going to take the choices away from them. So now if they want to make any changes, they have to reach out to you by phone or by email. And what you want to do here is by unchecking that, now I go in and I add all the SKUs that people have asked for, but I couldn't offer to the masses, and I put all those in. And then once I save that, I can now go under the contact, go under the profile, and then I can go under go into the contact. I can go under manage clubs. I can go under that club, and then I can make that change for them right here. I can just change it to whatever they want because all the wines that I've already added to the season will show up here, and now I can go ahead and make that order or customize that order for them. The other thing that we want to do right here, let's go back to the red club, is, so that's when we take display on web off. We are going to put in the customized orders that we couldn't do before because we didn't have enough of it, or they're super special. The other thing we want to do here is if you are going to put in your club anything that is non-wine, gift certificates, inserts, club gift, whatever it is, you wait until you take display on web off, then you put that in here. Now, what's the reason for that? Great question. The reason is this minimum here, this minimum doesn't know that any of these are wines or not wines or whatever. It just knows that, okay, I have to make sure that the customer takes 3. Well, if I put a club gift in here and I put a newsletter in here and I make those default quantity of 1, then that goes towards the minimum of 3. So that means that the customer could get away with a gift, an insert, and 1 bottle of wine. And it has happened. This is why I'm telling you. So always make sure that display on web is off before you put any non-wine items in here. And then go ahead and hit save. And now all that will flow to the batch, and you'll be able to see everything in there as well. So in the next video, we're going to talk about the batch.